on, everybody? This is Jake here with Reverb for another episode of Gear Revisited, and today we're going to be talking about the Boss Micro Rack series. Boss effects are about as identifiable and ubiquitous as it gets when it comes to music gear. When we think of guitar pedals a lot of the time, what we picture is a Boss pedal. They are known for their elegant and simple design and ease of use and the really good sounds that they produce. But what if I told you that there was an entire line of Boss effects that you've probably never heard of? Boss effects with a very distinct functionality and sound that can be found used on Reverb for about 150 bucks. The year was 1985 and technology was rapidly advancing. Everything seemed to be getting bigger and better, and after about a decade of their dominance in the effects market, Boss followed suit with a series of hybrid analog digital effects in the form of the Boss Micro Rack series. Many of them were stereo units, many of them have multiple modes that you can choose from, and a lot of them have fairly idiosyncratic sounds, even by today's standards, that can be difficult to come across in pedals. Another really cool thing about these was that they were designing them specifically to be used by synthesists and vocalists in addition to guitar players. A quick price guide search on Reverb will show you that most of these effects still sit in the $100 to $200 range. And if you adjust that for inflation, they actually would have been about 3 times the price of what you can get them for now. In fact, nearly all of the Boss pedals from this era are still more expensive than these micro racks are on the used market, even though those same pedals have far less features. All that would make sense if the Micro Rack series were obsolete or sounded horrible, but that's just not the case. Some of them have a really wonderful analog grit and warmth to them. Some of them also have a really distinct take on that digital, lo-fi, gritty sound that a lot of modern boutique pedal makers in particular are trying to emulate. Not to mention they have a really great form factor. And for a lot of us, pedals are really great for the stage, right? You get to turn them on and off with your feet. It's really easy to use. But if you're like me, bringing them into the studio can be really cumbersome. They clutter up a bunch of space on your desk. What's great about these is they sit really nicely on your desk, on top of your synths, on top of your other rack-mounted gear. Really easy to access all the knobs and controls that you need on them. When I first took these home to start demoing them, I was immediately thinking about all the different ways that I could try them out as a reamp tool, right? On guitars, bass, drums, synths, weird background noises, anything, you name it. Now I'd like to take a listen to these and unpack how seemingly obsolete and inexpensive gear can sometimes be some of the coolest. Over here we've got all 12 of the effects, as well as the power unit. There was a rack that you could mount all of these in, but we don't have that today. We've got this signal chain set up so it's going waterfall style. So we've got the sound coming in here, falling down, and then it'll come back up on this side and go. So from top to bottom over here, we've got a preamp with 2 EQ options, a low and a high EQ. We've got a 10-band EQ below it. We've got the compressor limiter. We've got an overdrive. We've got the chorus, and then we've got the flanger. Moving over here, we've got a phaser, a sampler delay, which is really cool, a pitch shifter delay, which is also really cool, a regular digital delay, kind of like the DD series that they've got, panning delay that is really rad, and then lastly, a reverb that is unfortunately not really happy with us today, so I think we're gonna have to leave that one out. So we're gonna be running a Prophet 6, a Grandmother, a Syntact, and then later a guitar through this thing. So let's start with the Prophet 6. Let's take a listen. So as you're hearing, these effects produce a lot of really cool, usable sounds. I'm really, really impressed with the preamp, the EQ, the overdrive, the flanger, and the chorus for just being kind of one-stop shops for those sorts of sounds. What I really want to showcase now is some cool stuff that the sampler delay does. So what you're going to hear, we got a sequence queued up already on the Prophet that's going to just be playing some nice big patty sounds. And then the sampler is again going to be triggered by the grandmother at a very fast rate, just getting these little like grain size, if you're familiar with granular synthesis, style delays, just triggering really, really, really fast. So quick disclaimer I want to make. I said earlier that most of these can be found in the $100 to $200 range. There's going to be a pretty big exception if you look through these. The RPS-10 is going for more like 2 to 3 times that price, depending on when you pick one up. And there's a really good reason for it. This has one of my favorite pitch shift delay sounds I've ever heard. So I'm gonna get a sequence going on the Prophet, slightly different chord progression this time, and I'm gonna play this through more or less the same chain we had before, preamp, EQ, a little bit of chorus this time. And then you're gonna hear the RPS-10, just the pitch delay, and we're gonna turn that up all the way to where you just get the wet of that at the very end. Really, really cool sound. Check it out. With the RDD-10 model in particular, They've got a modulation section that doesn't work the way that we're used to thinking about modulation, right? So in this case, what it is modulating is the speed of the delay. So you get that kind of warbly, like tapey delay, almost as if you were modulating or wiggling the speed knob yourself. When you search Boss Micro Racks on Reverb, you're going to find a lot of different units in various conditions and at a variety of price points. Certain units, like the RPS-10 delay and pitch shifter, are a bit more sought after and will fetch a higher price, but there are ways to make sure you're going to get the best deal. And as always, if the item seems a little outside of your price range, feel free to make an offer. On Reverb, search for the Boss Micro Rack series. If there's a specific unit within the series you're interested in, make sure to include that in the search too. Use the filters if you need to clean up the results, and set a maximum price point so you don't get discouraged by the higher ticket items. Save those searches to your personal Reverb feed and add your favorite listings to your watch list. Keep checking in. You'll find those low-priced listings, but they usually sell very fast. See a micro rack at the price you like? Jump on it. See a bunch you like? Add them to your watch list to think it over. Sellers will often give you a better offer directly once they see that you're watching. And if you want something but you think the price is a little too hot, again, feel free to make an offer. Unfortunately, the RRV10 we've got is not behaving properly. That's the Reverb unit they've got in this series. So we've got an RV2 on the floor behind me, just to give us a little bit more space around this next example. The Micro Rack series were produced in '85 and '86. The music gear boom was in full swing and would give rise to a number of different trends over the years. Though the rack mount series would start to fall out of favor, we know that trends are cyclical and they're slowly starting to make their way back. And for this price, you'd be hard pressed to find any piece of gear from this era that holds up in the same way that these do. If you're a synthesist, vocalist, guitarist, producer, engineer, or anyone else in between looking for some very distinct and unique sounds, these are well worth the investment. Check them out on Reverb. See you next time.